Have you ever noticed how people talk about gold with a kind of religious certainty, as if it were a divine metal placed on Earth to save humanity from its own economic stupidity? Every financial crisis, every currency collapse, every moment of panic seems to trigger the same ancient instinct. If only our money were backed by gold again, none of this would happen. But before you let that comforting idea take root, pause for a moment and consider the contradiction that even gold's loudest defenders cannot explain. If gold-backed money is truly perfect, why did every major gold standard in history collapse? Why did nations that chained their money to gold end up breaking the chain themselves? Why did the gold standard fail not once, but every single time a powerful country tried it? And here's the part nobody says in the first 15 seconds. The gold standard didn't fail because gold was weak. It failed because the world around it became too large, too fast, too hungry, too unstable for gold to contain. And when reality pressed against the limits of a metal that cannot bend, cannot multiply, cannot stretch to fit the needs of an expanding global economy, something had to break. And what broke was everything. The illusion of gold's perfection survives only because we look at it through nostalgia. But if you rewind the true story, the messy, violent, inconvenient story, it becomes clear that the gold-backed system was not a fortress. It was a cage. A beautifully crafted, mathematically elegant cage that crushed economies the moment they tried to grow beyond its walls. And the more you understand how this cage worked, the more terrifying its consequences become. Picture a world where every dollar, every pound, every franc, every coin in every pocket had to be supported by a physical metal sitting in a vault. If gold did not increase, money could not increase. If trade expanded faster than gold supplies, prices collapsed. If one nation hoarded gold, another suffocated. Imagine businesses trying to hire but unable to borrow because there wasn't enough gold. Imagine families losing homes, not because the economy failed, but because gold could not grow fast enough to let the economy breathe. This was not theoretical. This was reality. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the gold standard produced brutal deflation, waves of bankruptcies, and unemployment so severe that entire political movements rose to tear it down. The system punished innovation, punished expansion, punished global trade, punished every force that pushed humanity forward. Gold-backed money collapsed, not because humans were irresponsible, but because humans were ambitious. And yet, even knowing this, people still repeat the myth. They imagine a world of perfect stability, perfect discipline, perfect protection, forgetting that gold-based systems survived only when economies were tiny, slow, and simple. The moment world wars erupted, the moment nations needed to borrow to survive, the moment populations demanded growth, safety nets, infrastructure, development, gold snapped. In World War I, countries suspended the gold standard almost immediately. They had no choice. Too many soldiers to pay, too many weapons to build, too many imports to finance. Gold could not keep up with a world on fire. After the war, nations tried to return to gold. But the world they returned to was not the world they left. Debt had exploded. Trade was unstable. New powers emerged. Old powers weakened. Trying to force modern economies back into gold was like trying to lace a skyscraper into a corset made for a cottage. Britain collapsed under the pressure first, forced to abandon gold in 1931. The United States followed in 1933, not because it wanted to, but because staying on gold would have destroyed the country. Franklin Roosevelt understood an uncomfortable truth. When the needs of the nation conflict with the limits of gold, gold must lose. After World War II, the world made one final attempt, the Bretton Woods system, a new promise. The US dollar would be backed by gold, and every other currency would be tied to the dollar. It was elegant, structured, balanced on paper. But no economic system survives contact with human ambition. Europe rebuilt, Japan surged, global trade multiplied, and US gold reserves could not keep up. When dollars became the world's currency, demand for dollars exploded faster than gold could possibly match. This created a secret mathematical time bomb. The world held more dollars than America had gold. And the moment this contradiction became undeniable, the system detonated. In 1971, President Nixon made a decision that changed money forever. He cut the final link between gold and the global economy. Not because he wanted to, but because the world had outgrown the metal that once anchored it. The gold standard didn't collapse because of corruption or conspiracy. It collapsed because it was incompatible with global growth, global trade, and global finance. It collapsed because humanity evolved faster than gold. There is no version of gold-backed money that can support a world of 8 billion people, digital commerce, trillion-dollar capital flows, instant global liquidity, and economies that must expand, innovate, and respond to crisis at speeds gold cannot match. And yet, the myth persists. Because there is comfort in believing that somewhere, somehow, there exists a perfect monetary system that cannot fail. Gold is not perfect. Gold is not stable. Gold is not magical. Gold is simply gold. What failed was the belief that a rigid system could survive a dynamic world. And what made the gold standard dangerous was not the metal itself, but the illusion that discipline can replace adaptability, that scarcity can replace coordination, that metal can replace trust. If this journey into the hidden failures of the gold standard reshaped the way you think about money, consider subscribing to the Economic Rewind Vault, not for me, but so you never miss the truths buried beneath the myths shaping your financial world. Each episode makes you harder to deceive, harder to manipulate, harder to comfort with simple answers to complex systems. In the next episode, we step into a question far more seductive and far more disturbing. Billionaires control the world. How true is it? The truth behind elite influence, power concentration, and the invisible mechanisms of modern control will challenge everything you think you know about who really runs the global economy. You will not want to miss it.